Hello and welcome to September's episode of Scotland Shop on the Sofa. This month we've been exploring all things Clan Hamilton, and it's been a joy to find out more about this noble ancient clan. We've had a lot of fun learning about Clan Hamilton, but unfortunately we're not experts, as much as we wish we were. Please let us know if there's anything you think we've got wrong or if we've missed anything out. We'd also love to hear from you if you have a link to Clan Hamilton. Reach out in the comments or drop us a message and let us know what being part of the clan and sharing its heritage means to you. As always, we'd like to start at the beginning with a bit about the birth of the clan.
It is believed that the Hamilton clan originated with a Norman called Walter Fitzgilbert of Hambledon, who appears in a charter to the monastery of Paisley in around 1294. The name is thought to come from the village of Hamilton or Hameldon near Barkby in the county of Leicestershire. It comes from the Old English elements hamel, which means blunt, flat-topped or crooked, and dun, which means hill or farm. Put together, it would have meant something along the lines of farm on the crooked hill.
Clan Hamilton's territories are principally in the lowlands of Scotland. Walter Fitzgilbert and the aforementioned originator of the clan was from Renfrewshire, but was given wider lands as a reward for his support of Robert the Bruce. He was granted territory in the Lothians and Lanarkshire, including the land at Cadsall, which in 1445 was known as Hamilton Town. Consequently, the Hamilton family grew into a powerful clan, and their line spread as they continued to acquire grand properties and estates.
One such impressive property was Hamilton Palace, a country house in Hamilton, South Lanarkshire. It was the seat of the Dukes of Hamilton and is widely thought to have been one of the grandest houses in Britain. The palace dates back to the 14th century, but was added to frequently over the years. Anne, 3rd Duchess of Hamilton, and her husband, William, Duke of Hamilton, commissioned leading Scottish architect James Smith to recreate the palace in the Baroque style in the 1690s in what they called the Great Design. William died in 1694, but Anne was renowned for her formidable determination, and so the palace was virtually complete by 1701. She also employed William Morgan, a leading London woodcarver, to decorate the interiors of the newly built palace. She ordered that 5 rooms, a dining room, drawing room, bedroom and 2 dressing rooms were fit out with carved wood from the nearby Cadsall oaks. This was extremely unusual for the period and clearly a way for the Hamiltons to demonstrate their wealth and status.
By the mid-1800s, Hamilton Palace was at its grandest and was thought to have been the largest and finest non-royal residency in all of Europe. However, a tragic end was sadly fast approaching. Rising debt led to the sale of the palace's art collection in 1882, after which the Hamilton family spent little time there. And in 1889, the 12th Duke leased out the coal rights of the grounds, and a further lease in 1915 led to the removal of coal under the palace itself. Eventually, the building was sold to demolition contractors in 1921, and the remaining art pieces auctioned off. Today, the treasures of Hamilton Palace are on display in prestigious museums across the globe, including the National Museum of Scotland, the Victoria and Albert Museum, the British Museum, the National Trust, the Louvre, Lenox Love House and Boston Museum of Fine Arts. A few select pieces of architecture from the palace also remain. The Old State Dining Room, for example, is now on display at the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, Massachusetts.
Luckily, there is another Hamilton seat that is still standing and is open to visitors today. Brodick Castle has been called the quintessential country estate and is the only island country park in Britain. The historic house is set against the striking backdrop of goat felt, and there are numerous winding trails which lead through the castle grounds and up to the summit of the mountain. There has been a castle on the site since at least the 5th century, but in 1503 the Hamilton family, Earls of Arran, took possession of it. They immediately began to transform the medieval fortress and introduced a number of defensive features to protect themselves in the turbulent political landscape. The castle changed hands with a baffling frequency. In 1639, 1646 and 1651 between the Hamilton and the Campbells in a long drawn out struggle for power.
However, by the 1800s the castle was firmly in Hamilton hands, and in 1844 William, 11th Duke of Hamilton, launched a massive programme of construction work, commissioning the architect James Gillespie Graham to almost triple the size of the building. The work was a grand success, resulting in the imposing castle we see today. Sadly, William had no male heirs, so after his death the castle finally left Hamilton family for good. It was passed on to the Montrose family through marriage, and until 1957 when it was given to the National Trust for Scotland. If you are interested in the Hamilton clan or Scottish castles, it is well worth a visit. There is plenty to learn about the fortress's long military history, fine furniture and artwork to enjoy in the castle's interior, and beautiful gardens and woodland trails to explore outside.
However, if you are particularly faint-hearted, beware of any potential spooky encounters. Like any good ancient clan seat, Brodick Castle comes with a ghost story or two. Surprise, surprise.
Another one.
A grey lady said to be the spectre of a woman who died from the Black Death and was thrown into the castle pit dungeon has been seen mournfully stalking the grounds. It is also said that the ghost of a white deer can be seen grazing beside the castle whenever the chief of the Hamilton family is about to die. Let us know if you pick up on any ghostly presences if you decide to visit.
That's not a good sign if you're clan chief and you see a deer.
They can't change that often though.
No. While we love the spooky tales in the clan's past, the real-life family members are arguably even more compelling. From politics to musical theatre to Formula One, Hamiltons have found success in an impressively broad range of fields. Even in the earliest of days of the clan, certain members managed to make a notable name for themselves. In fact, the very first Lord, James Hamilton, even succeeded in joining the royal family. James was born at Cadzow Castle in around 1415 and was a Scottish nobleman, scholar and politician. In 1445, Hamilton received a charter naming him Lord of Parliament. The charter raised all his estates to that rank, and with an early iteration of Hamilton Palace assigned as a chief house. James was also responsible for solidifying the clan's claim to the land, as the charter also stated that from then on the surrounding territories would be known as Hamilton, as they still are to this day.
Later in his life he married Mary, daughter of King James II, once again advancing the Hamilton name and influence. He had 3 children with Mary, including James Hamilton, who was named the first Earl of Arran. Other famous Hamiltons have made their name outside of traditional clan positions, but their achievements are undoubtedly just as impressive. Lewis Hamilton is a Formula One driver for Mercedes, who has amassed worldwide fame for his talents. He was born on the 7th of January 1985 in Stevenage, Hertfordshire, and joined the McLaren Young Driver programme aged only 13. Hamilton went on to compete with McLaren in Formula One from 2007 to 2012 as the first black driver to race in the series. From his very first season, Hamilton established himself as one to watch. During his second season, he won his first title with a dramatic flourish, performing a crucial overtake on the last lap of the last race of the season. With this nail-biting win, he became the then youngest ever Formula One world champion.
After 6 years with McLaren, Hamilton signed with Mercedes in 2013. In 2014, he continued to gain success, winning 16 out of 19 races that season. More recently, he took the 104th pole position at the 2023 Hungarian Grand Prix. He is also an advocate for increased diversity in the motorsport and has taken courageous public stands against racism and discrimination. Hamilton is also very vocal about his environmental beliefs. He has frequently discussed climate change and animal rights at conferences, in interviews and in documentaries. He has also used his social media to raise awareness of numerous issues and to support charities. In January 2020, he donated approximately £383,000 to a variety of causes relating to the bushfire crisis in Australia, helping to fund the fire services and animal welfare charities. Hamilton's sporting success and charitable efforts have been widely recognised across the world. He was listed in the 2020 issue of Time as one of the 100 most influential people globally, and then was knighted in the 2021 New Year Honours. Just like his early ancestors, he's clearly incredibly determined and hardworking.
If you're a musical theatre fan, we're sure you'll have heard of our last famous Hamilton for today. Alexander Hamilton was a writer, soldier, lawyer, politician, economist, and one of the founding fathers of the United States. During his relatively short life, Hamilton achieved an impressive amount. Some of his biggest accomplishments including help to defeat the British in the Revolutionary War, helping to create the US Constitution, being appointed the country's first Secretary of the Treasury, and revolutionising the nation's financial system. However, while he made his name in America, his roots were in Scotland. Hamilton was born in 1755 in Charlestown, the capital of the island of Nevis in the British Leeward Islands, to Rachel Fawcett, a woman of half British and half French descent, and James A. Hamilton, a Scotsman who was the fourth son of Alexander Hamilton, the Laird of Grange, Ayrshire.
Sadly, however, his childhood was not a happy one. By 1766, James Hamilton had abandoned the family, and just 2 years later, Rachel passed away, leaving Alexander and his brother orphaned and destitute before they were even teenagers. When he was just 13, Alexander got a job as a clerk at the local trading company run by 2 New York merchants, and was soon promoted to manager. Hamilton's employers and peers in the community were said to have been so impressed by his talents, they began raising money to send him to America for an education. By 1773, he had amassed enough money to move to New York and enroll at King's College, now known as Columbia University. However, Hamilton's sense of national pride interrupted his studies. When the Revolutionary War against the British began in 1775, he knew he had to fight.
He joined the New York Provincial Artillery Company and quickly caught the attention of George Washington, who he impressed with his bravery and tactical skill. In 1777, Washington promoted him to Lieutenant Colonel of the Continental Army. Hamilton then spent the next years putting his writing skills to work at the service of the general. However, he was eager to return to the battlefield. In 1781, he was given command of a battalion that took part in the assault of Yorktown that resulted in the surrender of the British General Lord Charles Cornwallis and the end of the war. This solidified his status as an American icon and a war hero, but his influence did not end there. In the years following the war, Hamilton famously contributed to the creation of the US Constitution and was appointed as the first Secretary of the Treasury. He oversaw some big changes in this position, including the introduction of the country's first central bank, modelled on the Bank of England, and the dollar being set as the nation's official currency.
Today his legacy lives on in many ways, but perhaps most notable is the musical Hamilton, a biographical musical written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It covers the life of Alexander Hamilton and his involvement in the American Revolution and the political history in the early United States. The music draws heavily from a hip-hop influence as well as R&B, pop, soul and the traditional style show tunes. It casts non-white actors as the founding fathers of the United States and other historical figures, and was described by Miranda as America then as told by America now. From its premiere in 2015, Hamilton has received a near universal acclaim. At the 70th Tony Awards, it received a record-breaking 16 nominations and won 11 awards, including the Best Musical. It is astounding to see the influence that the Hamilton descent has on the world of politics, and the inspiration to see how many people his story has touched with Lin-Manuel Miranda's trailblazing work.
We could talk about Clan Hamilton all day, but sadly we're running out of time in this episode. Before we go though, we need to tell you a little bit about our favourite thing here at ScotlandShop. Tartan, of course. We have 5 different variations of the Hamilton tartan. Red Modern, Red Ancient, Red Weathered, Green Modern and Green Ancient. Each of these offer a different strength and tone of colour, so you're sure to find one that will suit you.
We hope you've enjoyed this tour through the history of Clan Hamilton. There is much more that we'd like to share, but we couldn't fit it all in. If you'd like to find out even more about the clan, please do pay a visit to our newly updated clan page on our website, as well as our blog posts. You can also test your knowledge on all things Hamilton with our quiz. To stay up to date on all clan content, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, email newsletter and social media.